And so we are going into 2023 and everybody wants to make an extra buck. But here's the thing. Is food deliveries a good side hustle in 2023? Now, when it comes to food deliveries, I am not talking about groceries like Instacart, Walmart, Spark, or such. We're going to leave that out the mix as well. Because I'm in Canada, I can't speak about Grubhub. But the three main ones that I'm going to be talking about today in this video is going to be Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Skip the Dishes, and if they are worth it for you as a side hustle in 2023. Now, for those that don't know, my name is Ash, and I'm not just a gig tuber, I'm also a gig worker. So I do work for Uber Eats, Skip the Dishes, DoorDash, and for Instacart, but today, again, we're just going to focus on the three. And the main focus I'm going to target to right now is going to be Uber Eats. Now, Uber Eats is the main app that I use in my market because my market is overly saturated with people that want Uber Eats orders. So let's figure out some pros with Uber Eats. The first one that I love the most about Uber Eats is I don't have to schedule to go online. All I have to do is click the go and I can go online. But there's also another advantage with Uber Eats is I can click a button on my screen to show myself how busy it's going to be that day and on that time with Uber Eats, and the forecast tells me for a few hours in advance. So with this being set into the mix, it makes Uber Eats a pretty easy contender. Now, if you go on to Uber Eats and you notice that you're not getting a lot of pings or a lot of offers, that means one of the other apps might be more saturated than Uber Eats in your market. Now, a good thing with Uber Eats for myself is I find there's more generous offers. If I'm doing lunch or dinner rush, I can definitely make $30+ per hour depending on the offers that I accept. Another thing with Uber Eats is many of the times, including now, I have a 3% acceptance rate with Uber Eats, and I still make generally good money and I don't get penalized with them. So with Uber Eats, even though they're going to show you some statistics, pretty much like all the other apps, you're not going to get penalized for having a lower acceptance rate. All you got to do is go online and do the orders that you're going to be doing. But there is a huge downfall with Uber Eats that many of us drivers are trying to get fixed, and that's tip baiting. So what tip baiting is when you go onto the app, you do an order, and let's say, for example, it's a $10 tip. You've completed it, everything goes smooth and dandy, but then the customer goes in and they revoke that tip down to nothing. Uber allows customers to do that for 1 hour post-delivery. They can also increase the tip, but I don't know how many times you're going to see that happen. I do find I do get a lot of good, what we call hidden tips or additional tips added on, but I've also been tip baited at least twice amongst Uber Eats. And the other companies like DoorDash or Skip the Dishes don't allow that to happen, so that is definitely something you're going to want to consider when it comes to making Uber Eats your side hustle in 2023. Now, unfortunately with Uber Eats, there's also one additional small thing, but I guess we can say that also happens with pretty much all the apps. You do have to buy your own delivery bags. They do not supply it, but the good part, they don't care which one you get it from. You can get it from Amazon, which if you need some links, I have them down below. You can get it from Walmart. You can get it from Canadian Tire, which is what I originally did for my very first blue delivery bag. It's one for beer cans, and I wanted it just to start off and keep going. And you can do whatever you want in that aspect, but you got to put out a few dollars. I find with side hustles nowadays, all of us have to put out a few dollars. But if you want your customer ratings to be good, and if you want to get additional tips, you are going to have to get a delivery bag, and that can be a downfall when it comes to being an Uber Eats delivery driver. Now, moving on to the next one, we have DoorDash in the picture. Now, DoorDash is a hit and miss because there are, I find, in my opinion, a few more downfalls with DoorDash than there is benefits. So for example, you get very high ratings, you should have the capability of doing Dash Now. Dash Now is the same thing as with Uber, as I just click to go online. But if your ratings are too low, they won't allow you to Dash Now. If they're oversaturated, they won't allow you to Dash Now. And then you have to do a scheduling system. Now, with the scheduling system with DoorDash, you have to schedule yourself 1 week in advance. And if you're a driver like myself that has a very low acceptance rate, I find it's so hard to get onto the schedule. Plus, for some people, the schedule is 12 p.m. you go on and get it, some of them at 6 p.m. you go on and get it, and some of them is 3 in the morning. So with DoorDash, you kind of have that inability to know, but as well, even though Uber Eats, for example, will show you your estimated tip, and generally speaking it is that. DoorDash has this feature which is hidden tips. So let's say, for example, I'm going 3 kilometers for $8. We're kind of eyeballing to see how many items are included in that order with DoorDash, because they do hidden tips, sometimes 25 cents, sometimes 50 cents, but then it can also be much, much higher. Now with DoorDash, they have things like catering orders. They have things like these big, large orders. They have what they call the diamond orders or diamond process or whatever they want to call it, and as well top dasher. Now, I am not going to fulfill the debate on if being a top driver, top dasher, or whatever may be is the best option when it comes to DoorDash. You can try them out and figure that out for yourself. But have I seen people, for example, get a catering order with an $80 tip? Yes, I have. I've even seen it before on a diamond order because some of these drop-offs are for business. So some people, especially in the United States, make some really strong money when it comes to DoorDash. Sadly enough, it's not too much that I see in my area, but DoorDash could still be a great side hustle for you in 2023. Another advantage of DoorDash, and it's a hit and miss with some drivers, with me, it's more of a miss because of the size of it, is you do get a delivery bag with DoorDash. It's an insulated red bag, but it won't get you very far when it comes to putting your orders in. But it's something that at least is supplied with DoorDash that isn't supplied with some of these other companies as a side hustle. And because we don't want to spend too much money out of pocket, what's great upon DoorDash is after you get your background check done, they will send you that bag and then you can start off small. So if you don't want to take your own money out of pocket to buy a delivery bag, you don't have to with DoorDash. The advantage is that you can start off with a small bag and you can go ahead and start doing orders right away. And another thing DoorDash offers, same thing actually now that I'm thinking about it, is also covered with Uber Eats. You'll also be sent what they call the red card. So the red card allows you to do some grocery orders. Uber Eats also has a pay and shop order too, where they send you a credit card too. So you do have, even with these two applications, more advantages to get yourself some grocery orders. So let's say you're doing some 2 or 3 p.m. time slots when it comes to doing deliveries and it's not that busy. Hopefully you can get a shop and pay so you can build more of that side hustle in 2023. Now, a disadvantage of DoorDash is they are very time sensitive. If you do not show up to the restaurant by the time they give you that order within 10 minutes, you will be given an email telling you, for example, that if you keep doing that, you could get deactivated. I've had a friend do it within 11 minutes and get that email, and it's not fun whatsoever. Because DoorDash has one feature that allows you to dash along the way, and that's what it's called, dash along the way. So let's say you're trying to go to the market that's busy with DoorDash. You can click dash along the way so that when you get to that market, you start picking up orders. The disadvantage is that DoorDash will push you orders even before you get to that market. So let's say you're 12 minutes away, they'll push you an order. And if it takes 12 minutes to get that restaurant, you are getting penalized for something that DoorDash is making as a mistake. Personally speaking, if I'm clicking dash along the way, it reserves my spot to that market. But DoorDash should not be pushing me orders that they know are going to be too hard to achieve within the time slot, because then it penalizes me and it doesn't make it profitable for myself. And then the last one we have in the mix is skip the dishes. So skip the dishes is literally a hit or a skip with some people when it comes to being a side hustle in 2023. Now with skip the dishes, it is a little bit more like DoorDash, but without the acceptance rate. So I can go online with skip the dishes, but only if it's busy. So if I want to go immediately, I would toggle to online, and if it's busy, they'll let me in. If not, it's not ready. But they're not dependable on my acceptance rate for me to go online. As well with Skip the Dishes, I find their scheduling to be more flexible. So with Skip the Dishes, every time I refresh the page by pulling down on the scheduling, I find every 45 minutes it updates. With DoorDash, if it's not there, it's pretty much not there. Now with Skip the Dishes, they also have another benefit in the mix, but it could be a miss as well. None of these other applications really have perks on your acceptance rate, but Skip does. If you hit an 80% or more on Skip the Dishes for your acceptance rate, you will not receive an order less than $8. Why? Because Skip the Dishes will top it up. So let's say, for example, you're at 80% and an original order comes in for $5.50. You will see that Skip the Dishes crosses out that dollar value, they put it to $8, and they send it your way. The disadvantage is it's $8. So because of that, if it's no tip involved, so they put it to $8, but it's 16 kilometers, are you gonna drive $8 for 16 kilometers? Probably not. And if you're at 80% and you decline that order, it'll put you at 70%, which means you can fall under the $8 ratio. Now, myself with Skip the Dishes, I'm at a 10% with Skip right now. And I've been at the 90% and I've been at the 10%. Either way with Skip the Dishes, the acceptance rate for myself doesn't really factor in too much, although I will admit, with Skip the Dishes, I do find if I'm over 50% acceptance rate, I do get pushed more offers. But everybody has a difference of opinion with that with Skip, and you're gonna have to find out that for yourself. Now with Skip the Dishes, there is one downfall that I don't like. Unlike Uber Eats and DoorDash, when it comes to these background checks, I don't pay a penny. But with Skip the Dishes, because they're only a Canadian-based company, they end up charging you $20 for the background check. And yes, I had to pay for it. Now as well, with Skip the Dishes, I find they make it hard for you to verify your delivery bags. Skip has a requirement, you have to have delivery bags, but you have two options. You can buy the delivery bags with them for $60, and it comes with a huge bag with compartments, plus it comes with an extra large to jumbo large pizza delivery bag, or you can verify your own bag. But if your own delivery bag that you're verifying with Skip the Dishes does not meet the dimensions or requirements that they're looking for, they'll tell you that you can't use those bags and you have to try again to get reapproved for your bags. So I'm not keen on that. I ended up buying the bags with Skip the Dishes to make my life easier, but do I regret it? No. I actually prefer the Skip the Dishes bag because I do like the compartments. As well, that pizza bag has helped me more times than I can imagine. Now, it's up to you with what you rather do with Skip the Dishes, as in verify your bag or pay the $60. Just know, of course, you don't pay anything to verify your own bag, but no matter what, with Skip the Dishes, you do have to pay $20 for that background check. My last comment about Skip the Dishes is, when it comes down to them, I have never had a double stacked order with Skip. I do get double stacked orders with Uber Eats and with DoorDash. Now that could be due to saturation in the market, or it's a preference by Skip that they much more prefer to have single stacked orders. Preferably for me, if I am doing deliveries, I like to do 2 deliveries at once. Why? Typically it's double the dollar. But with Skip the Dishes, you're only gonna most likely, depending on your market of course, get 1 order at a time. So if you're looking for a quick buck and you much rather do more orders at once, Skip the Dishes might not be in your favor if that's the outcome you're looking for. So which one are you gonna be choosing as a side hustle? Uber Eats, DoorDash, or Skip the Dishes? Why not try all 3? I'm a big one for encouraging people to do multi-apping, which means you can be on all 3 apps at once. Just try to accept 1 order per app at once, because otherwise there's this whole conversation about deactivation because you're trying to fraud them by going from one to the other. But anyways, that's a whole nother subject. Either way, I do think that doing delivery services as a side hustle is going to be a great benefit for 2023. Unfortunately, we do have things like inflation rates and rising costs in restaurants, but do I think that's going to make it that you can't achieve your goals? No. Part-time income or a side hustle is a great opportunity to do food deliveries in 2023, and I'll catch you lovelies in the next video.